In this lecture, I want to quickly discuss one problem you may encounter with references. We saw how references could give us access to child component methods. They allow us to select elements in the document. We'll be able to read and write to the element completely. However, they're not a commonly used feature. They should be used as a last resort. Let's look at why that is the case. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a zip file with everything you'll need. Unzip the contents and open the files in your editor. There's not much going on. We don't need anything else other than the View library to learn about references. You'll find two files in the project, one HTML and one JavaScript file. I've gone ahead with preparing most of the code for you. Let's review both files. In the HTML file, we're loading in the View library and app.js file. We have a div element containing the app we'll build. Inside the div element, we have an h1 tag. An expression called title is being outputted. Let's switch over to the app file. Nothing unusual is happening in this file. We're creating a variable called app that's being assigned to a new instance of the View object. Inside the instance, we have the data function. There's one property called title. Its initial value is set to hello. That wraps up the code review. The issue I'm referring to when using refs is that they're not reactive. If we make a change to an element through a reference, the View instance will not receive the change. Let's look at an example. In the template, we're going to add the ref attribute to the heading. We'll set it to greeting. The h1 tag will have the inner text, hello, since that's the value of the title property. Let's try changing the inner text via the reference. Below the View instance, I'm going to access the refs.greeting property. You're not limited to retrieving values with references. You're allowed to manipulate any of the object's properties, such as its inner text or attributes. I'm going to update the inner text property to the following: another hello. What do you think will happen? Will the browser render the expression or the update we made to the reference? Let's find out. Refresh the page on the browser. The text gets updated to the following: another hello. This is great because we have another way of changing the DOM with View. However, there is a huge flaw in this approach. The changes we made to the DOM via references are not reflected in the instance. We can verify this by opening the View developer tools. In the View panel, we can inspect the View instance. Under the data category, the title property is still set to hello. Even though we changed the element, we didn't change the instance. References can't change the View instance or its data. You only have access to the DOM itself. So what exactly is going on and why? Throughout this course, we've been changing the data in the View instance. This process can be done through a directive, an event, or with watchers. Anytime you change the data, you're updating the View instance. After updating the View instance, the changes will get reflected in the template. The changes then become rendered onto the DOM. This is how reactivity works. Any changes to the data result in changes to the DOM. View will take care of updating everything for you. However, with references, the story changes. A reference gives you direct access to the DOM. If you change the DOM through a reference, the View instance is not updated. Therefore, View will not keep track of any changes for you. This is why the data doesn't update. As we saw in our example, when we viewed the data with the View developer tools, the data didn't change. To summarize, references are a way to access the DOM elements in your application directly. Any changes made through references are not reactive. In most cases, you should be able to create applications without references. They're rare to use, but they could be the solution you're looking for when any other solution is not suitable.